Did you know that you can grow Kentucky bluegrass in the state of California? Southern California, in fact. This is where I'm at. Everything that you see right here next to my driveway, it's hard to point behind me on camera, that's all Kentucky bluegrass. Now, some of it is a little bit lighter green than the other. The lighter green is younger Kentucky bluegrass. It was seeded a few months ago, and the darker green was seeded, I don't know, about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that. Little thin over there. As it gets a little bit older, it darkens up. But here I am. I'm in Ventura County, Southern California. It is December 1st while I'm recording this. Everything here is growing just fine. I've been watering this grass about one time every week for the past month and a half or so. It's not that big of a deal so long as you grow it thick. If you've got a thin stand of Kentucky bluegrass where you can see a lot of dirt in between, like, I don't know, little gaps within the turf, then those areas are going to dry out enormously, especially during the dry summer heat. Even if you're more closer to the ocean, where weather isn't quite as harsh as it is inland, things are going to dry out ultra fast. So you got to have it super duper thick. So that's why I started growing this Kentucky bluegrass in the fall of 2023. So it was out of that peak heat and peak sun season, and it's given me enough time to really make this as thick as I possibly can. Now, I still have some thin spots, but I got the whole winter to fill it all in. Now, is Kentucky bluegrass advisable for anyone in California? I'm going to say no. I'm growing it myself, but it's not advisable at all because it's going to take an enormous amount of care and water. Some of that water we don't even have access to in the summer months to keep it going. This in my yard is going to be a temporary lawn space. I'm going to keep this going into 2024. I don't know how far into 2024 I'm going to keep it. Nuts edge. Pretty sure that this is kikuyu grass. Oops. I think it is. I'd have to look closer. But it's going to do very well during our winters. Now, the closer to the coast that you get, then the less dry heat you're going to get throughout the year. So let's say you're in the Bay Area. As you move inland, you're going to get dry heat as you go towards Sacramento and Fresno. If you're in Santa Barbara, you're going to get more dry heat as you move inland into kind of the Bakersfield, Taft, even the mountain zones over there. It's very dry. Certainly as you move east of Los Angeles towards the Ontario and Riverside and San Bernardino Inland Empire areas, it's going to get crazy hot and dry. Palm Springs, man, 115 degrees is like expected every single year. As you get into those areas, no, Kentucky bluegrass does not work at all. It's just going to die off. I don't know, maybe you could water it and limp it through the summer. Like if you're using a ridiculous, like a dumb, don't do it sort of amount of water, but it's not worth it. However, there are mountains in between all of those areas. So in the Inland Empire, in that kind of North San Bernardino County area, you've got a whole bunch of mountains. You can go all the way up to Big Bear, which is something like 8,000 feet up in the sky. That area is going to be perfectly fine for all cool season grasses. It just doesn't get hot there like it does down the hill. So if you're in those mountainous areas, maybe even far west like Ojai, Ojai is going to still be, it's still elevated, but it's only about 1,000 feet or so, maybe not even that much. You're going to be able to run some of the cool season grasses there, but you still will have a harder summer. It's kind of like growing Kentucky bluegrass like I did at my previous property up in mountainous 4,000 foot elevation in Oregon. It was hot there and it was dry there, but it wasn't excessive. Most summer days were around 95 degrees, and I was able to get through all of the summers with my Kentucky Bluegrass perennial rye lawn just fine. No, I don't think that's low enough. Yep, you see that? I could take it down one more notch. That'll take it to half an inch. In the state of California, though, watering restrictions come into play, and it's going to be throughout the whole nation, really. But in California, every water district has their own rules. So you're going to have to check your own rules to see if you can water enough, because the rainy season around here is during the temperate, mild winter. So from November through about March is the most likely time of the year that we're ever going to get rain. December, January, February being the peak of all of that. It's really easy to have a cool season lawn like Kentucky Bluegrass in pretty much anywhere in California through the winter months. But because Kentucky Bluegrass is such a slow growing perennial, it's very difficult. I mean, I've done it right here, but it's very difficult to grow Kentucky Bluegrass in the fall from seed to get it to go over winter just for the purpose of having a temporary pad of green. That's why most people use either an annual rye or a perennial rye. Both of those grass types are, in my opinion, they're cheaper seed, and you can put them down and grow a thick lawn up in less than 2 weeks. Like after 14 days after putting seed down, the lawn can look perfect. Kentucky Bluegrass is just not ever going to be the case. So typically for all areas of California, including Southern California and the hottest areas, you're going to see a lot of fall overseeding of annual rye and perennial rye. Both of those will go over the top of warm season lawns that go dormant, or the perennial ryes can persist year over year over year, and that's going to be similar to the Kentucky Bluegrass. They do need a lot of water. Perennial rye, like its best zone really in the United States, is the Pacific Northwest, because you're constantly getting a flow of rain systems coming through. None of them are gigantic, or most of them aren't gigantic, but they are pretty regular. So as you go through the Pacific Northwest, you're going to find perennial rye everywhere. Down south in the California, especially Sacramento, San Francisco, and further south, as things stay drier and hotter most of the time, the Kentucky Bluegrass really becomes difficult outside of the coastal areas or the mountain areas during the peak growing season of late spring through early fall. With all of that said, my Kentucky Bluegrass right here hasn't been trimmed in a long time. I've let it grow up a little bit gangly. It doesn't look gangly, but that's because it's December. I've let it grow up a little bit so that I can apply some herbicides to it. I've actually applied sedge hammer to get rid of some lingering nut sedge that is still in this area. And I also applied some Triad Select with quinclorac to get rid of a few of the grassy weeds that I don't want. There's not much left, and some straggling kikuyu grass is still in here. Kikuyu grass, very commonly found in Southern California and in Arizona, really. But kikuyu grass doesn't like quinclorac. So if you're battling kikuyu grass, quinclorac is an extra tool in the shed to throw at it. And quinclorac goes on Kentucky Bluegrass just fine. Hopefully I've taken the time to give you a few close-up shots of this Kentucky Bluegrass. I'm also going to be reel mowing this thing way back. I'm going to do some hand plucking of a few things that I don't want in that grass, and then I'm going to be reel mowing it down to about 1/2 inch. The reason for that is I want the tightest, densest stand closest to the ground as I could possibly get of Kentucky Bluegrass during this winter season, so that by the time spring rolls around and day duration lengths start getting longer and longer and longer, and the dry heat starts coming by April, May, and June, I want as much insulation from grass to the root zone as I possibly can. So I have to mow it super low, super often, all winter long to make sure that that happens, because I don't know 100% if I'm going to kill this Kentucky Bluegrass off next year. So if I choose to not to, then I need to make sure that it is best able to get through the summer. We'll see. So stick around to see what I'm going to do, because I never really know what I'm going to do in the future. I'm changing my mind left and right. for more California lawn content this winter season, make sure to watch this video right here.
Hey, you want to go touch the grass? Touch the grass over there. Yeah. Oh, you gonna go touch the grass over there? Come on, man. Yeah, go touch that grass. Tell me what you think.
Oh, it's actually kind of fluffy.
What is it?
It's actually kind of fluffy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Actually,
Does it seem like winter right now?
kind of.
Kind of. You're in shorts and a t-shirt, and the grass is like fluffy.
And actually, I'm gonna touch it. Yeah, it does.
It does?
Yeah.
It feels nice and fluffy?
Yeah.
You want to roll in it?
Yeah.
Go for it. Roll around.
I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna jump on it like a pool.